Top stories tonight. African leaders pledge to tackle root causes of terrorism. Inspector General of Police says Nigeria not mature enough for state policing. Fuel queues resurface in Abuja as black market sellers make gains. Central African Republic President declares 3 days of mourning for victims of deadly boat mishap. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. African leaders have been tasked to form a common front in combating the root causes of terrorism on the continent. This was during a high-level African counterterrorism summit holding in Abuja, where leaders present say terrorism impedes development and the growth of democracy. Amadine Uyi tells us more.
Terrorism has become a menace for countries in sub-Saharan Africa, with terrorism and violent extremism being responsible for the displacement of over 6.3 million persons across the Sahel region. Many say terrorism is having its toll on the continent.
Terrorism snaps at the very fabric of the tranquil, prosperous, and just society we seek to build for ourselves and our children.
That our continent is facing a multifaceted threat, terrorism, that we have been tirelessly combating for a number of years now, does not just threaten the institutions of our countries, not only our political regimes or our populations, it also threatens the very essence of our states.
At this African high-level meeting on counter-terrorism, attended by regional leaders, many of them say terrorism is impacting negatively on development and democracy.
The theme of this high-level African counter-terrorism meeting, strengthening regional cooperation and institution building to address the evolving threats of terrorism, is timely. It reflects the urgent need to confront the impacts of terrorism that continue to disrupt our lives.
Terrorism is a threat to international peace and security, particularly in Africa, where its impact is most felt. Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and their affiliates have made some significant gains in the Sahel and are moving southward to the Gulf of Guinea.
Terror cannot coexist in the same space as democracy and good governance. Just as darkness and light cannot endure in the same room at the same time.
They call on leaders to unite to tackle the scourge of terrorism.
We must pay attention to our women and girls who bear the greatest impact of insecurity, often the victims of terrorism, who deserve our solidarity and who have a right to remedy and reparations.
While terrorism troubles us greatly at the moment, we do well by remembering terrorism is not of Africa. We must tell this imported evil that wants to bend and break us, that it shall not succeed.
Leaders here agree that a sure way to combating terrorism is addressing the root causes of the scourge. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has tasked members of the National Assembly to consider the integration of a national border guard and a national coast guard into the proposal bill for the establishment of state police. The former president made this known during a national dialogue on state policing, saying that the current security architecture at the nation's borders are inadequate to tackle peculiar security challenges being witnessed. Edong Joseph reports.
In recent years, the clamor for the establishment of state police has drawn diverse arguments, with some for and others against the proposal. While the escalating insecurity situation in the country calls for urgent action, Nigeria's House of Representatives, after passing the bill for the second reading, has convened a national dialogue to get recommendations and inputs from stakeholders to finding lasting solutions.
Let me state categorically that the House and indeed the National Assembly does not have a fixed position on this matter. Our role is to facilitate a dialogue and generate consensus.
When I set up the 2014 National Dialogue, within that period, we have a lot of challenges in the country. People were agitating so many areas. But when we set up that dialogue, one thing that the whole almost 500 delegates agreed without much ado was the issue of state police.
Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and the former head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, while sharing their experiences, urged the consideration of inputs from traditional rulers and the consideration of border guards and coastal guards into the bill.
If a stranger enters a village, within hours, the village head knows about that stranger, and through their means of communication, the emir is aware.
The National Assembly, while you are debating or conducting a public hearing on the state police, these issues of National Border Force must be considered.
On the issue of state police, it is the submission of the leadership of the Nigerian police force that Nigeria is yet to mature and ready for the establishment of state-controlled police.
President Bola Tinubu, who was represented by his vice, pledged the commitment of the executive to implement the legislation when passed.
The insights we gain will inform our administration's approach to supporting legislation that not only enhances the capacity of our police force, but also strengthens the bonds of trust between law enforcement and the public.
The discussion for the abduction of state policing has always courted controversies. Stakeholders here are calling on Nigeria's National Assembly to give more attention to issues bordering on right of abuse of citizens, financing of the police, and modalities for their recruitment. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Staying with discussions on state police, and one of our team tonight, the Inspector General of Police, IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, believes the country is not mature for state policing despite the myriad of security challenges facing it. He spoke during the National Dialogue on State Police held in Abuja. The IGP argued, among other factors, that there is the potential for abuse of power by the state political leadership. He stated that state governors could use the police force under their control for political or personal gain and undermine human rights and security. To shed further light on the issue of state policing, I'm joined now by a security expert, Ahmed Hussaini. Ahmed, thank you very much for giving us your time. This is not a new conversation, but now the IGP is saying that the country is not ready for state policing. What's your thoughts on his comments?
The position of the Inspector General of Police is not a new one, and it's not a surprise, because ordinarily you would expect actually Nigerian police to try to preserve their monopoly of internal law enforcement. So it's just the police just trying to protect its own turf, because knowing fully well that when state police is actually implemented, it's going to actually cede some powers to individual states, and that will actually affect the Nigerian police in terms of its powers and overreach, either constitutionally or extra constitutionally. So it's nothing surprising. We would expect them, and this has also always been the position of the Nigerian police. Even when the Nigerian Civil Defense was established, the police has always been opposed to it. But the thing is, we wouldn't be having this kind of conversation if the Nigerian police, is actually adequately responding to its responsibility. If the Nigerian police is adequately securing the country and fulfilling its constitutional responsibility of securing the country internally, then we won't be having this kind of conversation. So the fact that we're having this conversation and the police is coming to oppose it is in itself an indictment on the Nigerian police force.
But what do you? But I'm sorry to interject. His concerns. I mean, we see what plays out at the local level in politics, for instance, power of incumbency and other issues. one of the concerns he raised was the possible colonization of the police in these states by the political leadership. That is a valid concern that everybody talks about. Is it not strong enough consideration for us to think about, have a rethink, or maybe put in other measurements of control before we talk about state police?
Absolutely, the fear of abuse is actually well-founded. I do not dispute that. But we also have abuse in our current federal police structure. So the problem here is, yeah, we've seen what state governors have done with, in the state electoral commissions. We've seen what state governors have done with state legislatures and the state judiciary. Of course, there is that fear of abuse. But the thing is, that should not actually make us to fear reforms like this. It is only for us not to learn lessons. What have gone wrong in other reforms where more powers have been devolved to the governors or to the states subnationals, and then how are you going to develop adequate strategies and institutionalize adequate frameworks to ensure that such abuse or these reforms like the state policy is actually insulated from the potential abuses like the one we've been having with other reforms processes. So that's just the idea. Just as the truth. So we have to find a way to actually insulate, state police from these potential abuses. And there are a lot of actually, mechanisms that we can do that. We can do that through some kind of independent oversight. We can do that, through some kind of, point-based, rating that is tied to, how we fund federal and international funding. We can do that actually also by, trying to set some international standard and create some certain metrics to ensure how, around some certain set of criteria like human rights, compliance with the rule of law, capacity building and training, and quality of law enforcement generally. We can set those standards and tie them to how we fund the police at both the federal level and even in terms of international grants and other forms of funding and collaboration and incentives to ensure that the state police are actually being able to actually play by the rules and uphold the rule of law.
I think his argument is basically not holding forth, but his argument is basically that we are not ready. And then he is putting forward a suggestion that I'd like your thought on. He's saying that NSCDC and the FRSC could be merged into the police instead of establishing state police. And I think the rationale is to increase the manpower that is available for the discharge of their responsibility. What's your thinking on the potential benefits and drawback of this proposal from a security analyst's perspective, of course?
So interestingly, I've been personally advocating for merging the Nigerian Civil Defense and the FRSC, with the Nigerian Police in order to actually shove the numbers. But then we also have to ask this question to the Nigerian police force, like what have they been able to do with their current resources? Because we have this problem of corruption and inefficiency. Yeah, according to the UN, we should have like one police officer to 450 citizens. In Nigeria, we have one police officer to even more than 1,000 citizens. If you look at, the number of police force, we have around 370,000. If you look at the fact that 40% of those are actually into VIP protections. Now, if you go around, most of those states, the mobile police squadrons are adequately trained, to combat crimes like even banditry that we're facing in some parts of the north. Most of those numbers, if you go to these mobile police squadrons, you won't be actually having them at full capacity because about half or more than half of them have been actually deployed to Abuja or Lagos or Port Harcourt, guarding some oil companies and VIPs while leaving, ordinary Nigerians to actually bear the brunt of insecurity. So effectively, they are being used by Nigerian police to actually generate revenues that, the top echelons may end up benefiting. So these are some of the issues. Like we have to ask Nigerian police, what have they been able to do with their current resources? Have they been able to use it judiciously, adequately? Then that will actually make a case for, increasing the numbers. Because if you keep increasing the numbers and they keep deploying the numbers to actually generate the revenue or to actually make money for the top guns, and then at the end of the day, the ordinary Nigerians are left to suffer, from that gap created by lack of resources and inadequate manpower, then we are not actually addressing the problem. We are actually entrenching corruption and inefficiency within the system. And that's exactly what we are trying to actually eliminate or reduce with the concept of state or community policing. I'm not against or for community policing because you have both arguments for or against. Both advocates and opponents actually have valid arguments, but it's only for us to now choose one side and say, okay, how are we going to actually build up on that and improve, on the state of things that we have currently.
Ahmed, thank you very much, as always, for sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Straight to politics. The All Progressive Congress Governorship Primary Appeal Committee has commenced work as the committee received petitions from 3 among the aspirants. The immediate past governor of Bauchi State, Muhammad Abubakar, SAN, who is the chairman of the 5-person committee, urged all aspirants who have any petition to file to approach the committee at the party secretariat to submit their petitions. Addressing newsmen in Akure on Monday, the senior advocate assured that the committee would be thorough and fair in handling all the petitions that they receive.
Set up by the executives of the party to receive and consider any appeals that come up after the events of the weekend, that is, the conduct of the governorship primaries election in the state. The members of the committee with me are to my immediate left is Dr. Jamilu Isiaka, governor, and to his immediate left is IG Honorable Patrick.
To discuss this further, I'm joined by the President, ready to lead Africa Summit for Democracy, Ambassador Godbless Utubori. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. Before we proceed with matters arising, protesters already alleged that the primary election committee led by Governor Ododo did not follow the party's guidelines. What's your assessment of the primaries?
Thank you for having me. What we have read from our news articles and reports is that we have candidates who participated in the process, Jamal Ibrahim and some of the other guys who are saying that there was no due process that was followed in the conduct of the primaries. I know there was a case of violence in Okitipupa, which led to the suspension of the process. And the current governor of Kogi State did say sometime on Saturday that the current primaries was inconclusive, that it was going to resume again, where they would have elections in the 13 wards in Okitipupa. So there's been a lot of course, there's been a lot of concern and a lot of candidates are saying the process was not followed. There are allegations that election materials were not, in place as at the time some of the, purported voters are supposed to be voting. And that has been some of the issues that we've read and seen. And of course, just earlier, the current governor of Ondo State, who took over from Akeredolu, was declared to have won the primaries with the highest number of votes, according to the APC. But we'll continue to watch it. I know that I've had a few conversations with some of our partners at INEC, and I know that INEC is also trying to make sure that whatever the outcome is something that is, legal and acceptable to the electoral process.
All right, the offshoots, the committee. The committee is already being referred to as a ritual after every primary election. This according to the chairman of this current committee. And at the moment, he says they're still collecting petitions. 3 petitions already. Do you expect more? And then secondly, do you expect any substantial recommendation from the committee?
Well, for me, it is becoming a very shameful reality that sometimes I look at us and say, are we just talking our way into chaos and not taking action where necessary? We cannot have civil affairs like voting, right? It's just voting. You say, who do you want to be the leader? And people are able to make that decision. If every time Nigerians go to the polls, somebody must cry foul, somebody must say something has not been done well, what does it tell us? It means that we are incapable That is what we're trying to say, that we are incapable of organizing ourselves. I do expect more complaints, and whether there will be a recommendation from this committee, I do not know. I'm not part of the political party. I'm just, observing what they're doing and also trying to say, we that fought for the Electoral Act to say we need to have whether direct or indirect primaries, it was simply because we wanted the people to get into the process, and we want the process to be better and more transparent. But if after, giving our lives, our energy to get to Nigeria a new electoral act, yet we cannot conduct a primary election. So this is a pointer to the fact that these guys cannot, play by the rules even in a general election. And this is not just about maybe the APC, it's even in other parties. So for me, it's a shame that this is coming up every time, that we have to be called back to talk about these issues.
This might be, this is an aside question of what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's part of democracy, isn't it, for people not to be dissatisfied with the process and request that their matters be addressed. Does the Electoral Act take that away? Because I mean, and does that automatically translate to the fact that we are incapable of conducting elections, really? In 30 seconds, if you can.
Well, for me, it's democracy. People should have the opportunity to vary and say, I do not agree. And the fact that they're doing it legally and they're going through the process is also good. But for those of us who are looking at the standard of elections, elections are not designed for people to create litigation. Election is designed for people to select the leaders. I'm just saying, if this becomes a habit, what it tells you is that we are not getting organizing right. That's what I'm saying. But do they have the right to complain? Absolutely. They are going through the process and talking to the committee, fantastic. But what I'm saying is, I will not accept the good if we can be great. That is the responsibility of leadership.
All right. In one statement, do you expect them to change the primary candidate at the end of the day, no matter what the committee does?
Like I said, I'm not a member of the party. I do not know what is going on there.
Based off your analysis of what has gone on so far.
Well, when you look at the number of votes that Loki Aiyedatiwa, if I'm pronouncing it very well, that he has been declared to have won with, it is almost irreversible, because when you look at the guy who is second, it's a mile off. So let's continue to watch. I'll be here with you. We'll continue to see, and I'll be glad to come back and discuss this further.
We'll definitely be circling back to you for your thoughts, whatever happens in the coming days. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. African leaders pledge to tackle root causes of terrorism. Inspector General of Police says Nigeria is not mature enough for state policing. Fuel queues resurface in Abuja as black market sellers make gains. Central African Republic President declares 3 days of mourning for victims of deadly boat mishap. Thank you for staying with us. On the invitation of the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, President Bola Tinubu will on Tuesday, April 23, depart Abuja for the Netherlands on an official visit. The presidency revealed that Tinubu will engage in high-level discussions with the Prime Minister and separate meetings with His Royal Majesty King William Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Kingdom. Meanwhile, as the president departs for his trip, the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is billed to be in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, on Tuesday for the turning of sword of the alternative high school for girls. The First Lady's visit is generating headlines as the two wives of the Osun State Governor, Ademola Adeleke, are reportedly doing their best to outshine each other, as both of them lay claim to the position of the office of the First Lady of the state. Fuel queues have resurfaced in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, as there is a current business boom for black market sellers. News Central visited some petrol stations within the capital, where some drivers expressed frustration over their inability to buy petrol. Marvelous Obomanu tells us more.
This is not the first time the nation's capital is witnessing long field queues. In 2024, there have been reported cases of residents spending long hours to get fuel, either for lack of the product or hoarding the product by independent marketers subsequent to a price increment. As Nigerians struggle to get the premium motor spirit, black market sellers are using the opportunity to make a kill by increasing the price of the product.
Okay, 15 liters, how much? 10,000, 12,000,
Here at Total Filling Station, you can see how some Nigerians are struggling just to get the product. Some of them say it is a shame that a rich oil-producing country like Nigeria, yet they are still seeing pockets of fuel queue here and there. Some of them say they'll spend 3 to 4 hours just to get the premium motor spirit, and that this has also affected their business activity of the day.
I was here early hours this morning, so I saw a very long queue. So I don't know, almost 90% of fuel stations in the whole of Abuja, they are all shut down. So I've been here now for the past 3 hours. Same all over. Most of the fuel stations are not on. You can see like the ones opposite MMPC towers. There are plenty of queues here. Coming to this place now, the same thing. Then you can see now we are moving around to see if you can get from gallon, and it's very difficult.
I'm suspecting maybe there are going to be a slight price adjustment, because aside that, I don't see any other reason why that should be.
Some of them express frustration over their inability to get the product and wonder why a country rich in oil is still facing such challenges.
It's a bad moment to us as a nation and as a citizen, as an oil producing nation. Queuing for a fuel, I should label it a taboo to Nigeria as a country, and it's a shame.
How can Nigeria be an oil producing nation? Fuel subsidy is still out, and we're still going through this. It's alarming.
Although the cause of the fuel queue is still unknown, adding the price increment to the hardship being faced by citizens further increases their burden. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
Many thanks, Marvelous. Tonight continues shortly. Stay with us. In Nigeria's northeast, Borno State government have inaugurated an ICT center in the hinterland Gajiram, Ngazai local government area. This center aims to empower young, unemployed and out-of-school individuals by providing them with essential digital skills and knowledge. News Central's correspondent Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
One major impact of the over a decade-long Boko Haram conflict in Nigeria's northeast is the issue of unemployment and the out-of-school young persons. Borno State government unveiled an empowerment structure, the Gajiram ICT Center in the faraway Ganzai local government area. The center is equipped with computer systems, high-speed internet access, and various software programs to provide the youth with the necessary tools and skills to thrive in the digital age. During the inauguration ceremony, the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, expressed his enthusiasm for this project, emphasizing its potential to create opportunities for the region's youth.
We can create jobs. In the next few years, 4 to 5 years, the island that we see now may not be visible to many of you, because the world is moving towards cashless policy.
The ICT Center, which is being replicated in all the 27 local government areas of Borno State, are said to further equip the youth with skills to navigate the complexities of the globe. Earlier, the Borno State Governor inspected the progress of an Islamic college in Gajigana and that of Gajiram, targeted at providing knowledge and skills to the youth.
We are providing another government day here in Magumeri inside the mega school
to compensate for the government girls secondary school Kachikanda, which is overrun by IDP. So this is one of it. It's also a 48 classroom capacity mega schools.
Let them do a very good job. The officials of the ministry and the contractors and engineers will sit down at a later date to evaluate the work done and ascertain whether there is a need to top some amount for in favor of the contractors or not. But I think this is one of the very good work that is ongoing.
The initiatives are expected to transform the lives of young unemployed and out-of-school individuals in the area for a better future. In Gajiram for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Central African Republic President Faustin Touadera has declared 3 days of national mourning on Monday for victims of a riverboat disaster, one of the country's deadliest. Authorities have said 58 bodies were retrieved from the Mpoko River in the capital Bangui after the vessel capsized on Friday as it was taking people to the funeral of a village chief. According to witnesses, the wooden boat was carrying more than 300 people, some standing. Search operations are continuing and the provisional death toll continues to rise, could rise. A presidential decree broadcast on state radio on Monday said 3 days of national mourning would be observed in memory of the victims of the tragic incident. We'll go on a short break. The news continues right after. Do stay with us. Let's now bring you some business news. Our business desk has all the latest.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Talking business tonight, Nigeria stood out during the recent World Bank and International Monetary Fund spring meetings, garnering praise from global economic leaders for its proactive measures in the face of international challenges. Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, who also chairs the African Caucus, emphasized the nation's pivotal role in advocating for Africa's economic interests on the global stage, leading to the International Monetary Fund and World Bank commending Nigeria's robust efforts, citing the tightening of monetary policies and subsequent upward revision of the country's growth forecast to 3.4% this year as a testament to the effectiveness of the government's economic strategies. The 2024 spring meetings, held amidst a backdrop of persistent inflation and geopolitical tensions, underscored Nigeria's ascent as a regional trailblazer in fostering sustainable economic practices. Now, despite the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's recent announcement of 1,000 naira per litre price tag, automotive gas oil, also called diesel, still sold for between 1,300 naira and 1,450 naira nationwide. Some dealers said even at that price, they had not received supplies from the Dangote refinery, hence the reason they continue to sell for high price. In a survey in Osun, Lagos, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, oil marketers claimed that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery was not supplying diesel, stalling the announcement of a price adjustment. About 3 weeks ago, Dangote announced a 30% reduction in diesel price from the previous market price of 1,600 naira per litre to 1,200 naira, granting oil marketers demanding a lower price their wish. Last week, the price was further reduced, pegged at 1,000 naira. And finally, African National Congress President Cyril Ramaphosa has described as impressive news that South Africa has reclaimed its spot as the biggest economy in Africa. Nigeria's economy was ranked as the continent's largest in 2022. Egypt, which held the top position in 2023, is projected to fall to second behind South Africa after a series of currency devaluations. The reclaiming of the top spot in Africa's economy is a significant achievement for South Africa, and Ramaphosa said his administration remains committed to addressing the country's challenges and building on this success. And that's all on Business News. Many thanks for watching. Do stay with us. More stories will come your way in a bit. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Up next is Sports Update.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sport, Nigeria's sole representative for the 2024 Basketball Africa League Season 4, Rivers Hoopers, have secured the services of the Tigers forward Divine AK. The Tigers forward has signed to play for the reigning Nigerian League champions Rivers Hoopers at the BAB. AK was outstanding when he made his national team debut at the Afro-Basket qualifiers held in Tunisia 2 months ago. The 6'8" forward averaged 22 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 5 assists in 3 games. The 28-year-old becomes Hooper's fourth signing for the 2024 Basketball Africa League. He will join the rest of the squad for the second phase of the training camp, which begins this week in Lagos. Away from basketball, now to football, where the Nigerian Football Federation on Monday announced the imminence of a football awards that will recognize, celebrate, and reward the best players and coaches in the Nigeria game on a monthly basis. These awards meant to further generate, enable, and inspire positive conversations around the Nigerian game at home and abroad, and will feature 7 categories in its initial format, highlighting the contributions of players and coaching staff across the beautiful game. The NFF Awards will not only recognize and honor individual excellence, but also provide valuable sponsorship opportunities, potentialities, and possibilities, allowing companies and institutions to support the development, growth, and sustainability of the Nigerian game. Further details on the awards and the Nigerian game. Further details on the awards, including award categories, nomination process, and launch date, will be released in the coming weeks. Still talking football, the board of the Nigeria Premier Football League, NPFL, has rearranged the fixtures in the ongoing 2023-24 NPFL season to accommodate outstanding matches. According to the league body, match day 35 to 38 will be rearranged to accommodate the 6 outstanding matches of Rivers United. The Pride of Rivers represented the country in the CAF club competitions where they were knocked out by USM Algiers. They revealed that the league games will be paused after match day 34 to enable Rivers United to prosecute the outstanding games at the Federation Cup round of 64. And now to football in Europe, Andrew Cole and John Terry have been inducted to the Premier League's Hall of Fame, the English top flight announced on Monday. The 2 men were selected from a shortlist of 15 former players after votes from fans worldwide were combined with those of the Premier League awards panel. They joined Ashley Cole, who has also received the league's highest honor this year and become the 23rd and 24th inductees. The 3 former England players will be recognized at an event in London on Tuesday. Cole is the 4th highest goal scorer in the Premier League history with 187 goals in 414 appearances and won 5 titles with Manchester United. The 52-year-old played for a number of other clubs, including Newcastle, where he won the Golden Boot in his first Premier League season. Meanwhile, Terry, who is 43 years of age, is the most successful Chelsea captain in the club's history, leading the team to 5 Premier League titles. Congratulations to the duo of Cole and Terry. And to wrap up sports update, go straight to athletics, where Celestine Chemchechi has been banned for 3 years from competing after being found to have violated World Athletics anti-doping rules. The 28-year-old athlete provided a urine sample out of competition in Kapsabet on February 9, 2024, which tested positive for exogenous testosterone and its metabolites. According to the official AIU statement, the laboratory in Lausanne, Switzerland, identified the presence of testosterone and its metabolites, androsterone, ethiolanole, and androstenedione, as being of exogenous origin. The athlete faced a mandatory 4-year period of ineligibility for such a violation under the World Anti-Doping Agency guidelines. However, Chemchechi's prompt admission of the violations and acceptance of the consequences enabled her to give a reduced 3-year ban. Interesting times ahead in the world of athletics. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. And Favor Itwa Entertainment is up next.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
In entertainment, Nigerian rapper Ice Prince, also known as Panshak Henry Zamani, has announced the upcoming release of his 4th studio album, Fire and Ice, set to drop on May 3rd, 2024. This album marks his return to the music scene after a hiatus with his last album released in 2016. Can you imagine that? Ice Prince expressed gratitude to his fans for their support and their patience previewing tracks from the upcoming album on social media. And now away from the continent, Celine Dion, diagnosed with stiff person syndrome in 2022, opened up about her health struggles and family support in a Vogue France cover story. In the interview, she reviewed her intense therapy regimen and expressed gratitude for the love and support from her children, family, and friends. Now, despite the challenges, Celine Dion remains optimistic and determined to continue pursuing her passion for music. Her documentary, I Am Celine Dion, directed by the Academy Award nominee Irene Taylor, is set to premiere on June 25th, offering viewers a raw and honest look at her journey with a life-altering illness. And that's all we'll take on entertainment tonight. We'll take a short break, and when we are back, we'll bring you the updates on what's trending tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Now, moving away from entertainment stories, Dangote Refinery is trending for a very unconventional reason. The Nigerian Army has dismissed 2 soldiers, Corporal Innocent Joseph and Corporal Jacob Gani, for their involvement in the theft of armored cables at the Dangote Refinery in Lagos. While some Nigerians believe the measure taken by the Army was too harsh, others see it as setting a good example. According to the Nigerian Army, the dismissal of the soldiers reflects a commitment to maintaining discipline and integrity within the military ranks. However, there are differing opinions on whether the punishment fits the crime, with some applauding the Army's zero-tolerance policy for the misconduct, while others question the severity of the action taken. Let us take some of those reactions to this story on X. Abdul Umar is saying, I'm totally against dismissing soldiers or any uniformed personnel because in the end, they are the ones who could potentially form criminal gangs that would be very difficult to fight, given their knowledge of warfare. Instead, they should remain in service and be monitored. Another tweet from Ndemba Nelson is saying, that's not the right decision in my opinion. They would have been cautioned, given some punishment to this, rather than dismissing the soldier to protect the soldier that suffered for years to protect the country. The punishment is too harsh. Another tweet from Johnson is saying, why are Nigerian soldiers being used as security personnel at the refinery? Can't Dangote employ private security agencies to guard the refinery? Nigerian soldiers are for the defense of the country's borders against foreign invaders, not to be used as Dangote private refinery security. Now, our last tweet from Omoba is saying, we are all craving for better Nigeria, therefore, there should be zero tolerance for criminality and misconduct in all security agencies, especially in the Nigerian Army. If other security agents can emulate this act of discipline, then the country of our dreams is possible. And that's all on what's trending tonight, but you can share your thoughts and join the conversations across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. African leaders have pledged to tackle root causes of terrorism. Inspector General of Police has said Nigeria is not mature enough for state policing. Fuel queues have resurfaced in Abuja as black market sellers make gains. We also told you that Central African Republic President has declared 3 days of mourning for victims of deadly boat mishap. Would like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media. That's at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, and on YouTube. Thank you as always for your time. Have a good